Yo, yo, what's up, everybody? Hope everybody's doing good. It's been a while for kind of a update post. Nothing too crazy, just um, had a cool opportunity from a kid that goes to UNL. He's studying sports broadcasting, and he picked arm wrestling, believe it or not, for kind of his capstone, they call it. I don't know, it must be a end of the year project where they interview athletes. And he specifically wanted to, because he goes to UNL here in Nebraska, so he specifically wanted to get a hold of some arm wrestlers in the state and kind of focus on Cornersker State games. That's our yearly tournament, and then kind of get a couple of viewpoints, couple interview type things. So anyway, kind of real cool. So I recorded it. I'll put it up here on the channel. You guys can check it out. But yeah, the goal is kind of get arm wrestling to the masses more, and now hopefully, we'll get it more to the sports broadcasting type of people, and maybe some of the people at UNL and some of the students and et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, it was really neat. Nice talking to him. Name was Caleb. Anyway, hopefully he was going to reach out to maybe Easton as well. Get a little interview with Easton. So yeah, fun times. As far as anything else goes, just been grinding. Been doing a lot of traveling for practice. I need to get footage up, so I'll put more footage up of the latest tournament in KC, and then some practicing I've been doing. But couple irons in the fire, but I won't really say much yet. But I'll keep working on some big matches coming up. But yeah, just prepping for Fallen Heroes. Don't miss out on that one, guys. That'll be March 21st, KC. I'll go against Mr. Brad Grundy, so that should be a good one. There's a ton of other good matches on that one. It's a nice fundraising deal for the first responders and Bo, et cetera, et cetera. So hope to see everybody down there for that one. You should be able to find the flyer pretty easy on Facebook or whatever. Just go to the KC Arm Wrestling page or go to the High Raisers page for all the details on that. So other than that, comment on this video. Let me know who you think I should pull next. Hopefully I can get a chance to pull like Tom Nelson or Chant Shaw, depending on who wins that. They're going to battle it out here. And if one of them agrees to it, which you know how that goes, don't we? If one of them agrees to it, I'll get to fight the winner of that one. That'll be a fun one. Let me know what you think on the odds of that one and who you got. Let's see. Other than that, there is a couple other things that I've got in the back of my mind as far as different competitions. But anyway, for now, just like and subscribe if you haven't. But yeah, check out the interview that guy did. Really neat. And then I'll see you guys around. Stay massive and keep grinding. Boom.
Got it.
All right, I think I'm in business. Okay. No, so what got me involved? Just always been a strong kid. So growing up, played sports, and I got into football and weightlifting and things like that. And it's with arm wrestling, it's kind of a grassroots strength test, right? Like anybody can do it. You just grab a hold of somebody and you see whose arm's stronger, right? You just pull on each other. So I think it always fascinated me from a young age, but I got more into football and then more bodybuilding stuff, and then I had some injuries, and to where a lot of the powerlifting or strongman type of activities, I kind of put them on hold. And then I had a friend I think it's been 4 years ago, had a friend that was talking to a guy that was setting up a team, George included. George was part of this group
Okay, yeah.
that was starting the team. How he got interested, I'm not super positive. But anyway, he was starting this team, and so my friend said, "Hey, there's this group of guys that are going to start this team. Do you want to try it out? It's arm wrestling." I go, "Sure," you know. So I showed up and did well right off the bat. So I think that's basically how I got started in the whole thing. And then when I took it seriously, it was
Yeah.
probably because I realized there wasn't a lot of people who were able to beat me. Just kind of naturally gifted at it, and so ended up. I think it's been 2 years ago. I've won two national titles now, and then of
Wow.
course I've got several Nebraska state titles. So I think
Mhm.
once I start racking up a few titles, that's kind of when I was like, okay, I'm going to take this serious and travel around and compete with other people all across the country.
Yeah. And then kind of what does a typical training week look like for you leading up to kind of the different competitions you compete in?
Uh, Leading up to it's a lot of rest, but like maybe 2 weeks leading up to competitions, it's a lot of hours in the gym. The probably the best way to get good at this is get on the table with other strong people.
Mhm.
So just like any sport, you have to engage or practice the activity itself. So that means locking up with other people, whether it's teammates or people from other states, whatever. But you get on the arm wrestling table and you actually go through kind of the motions, the back and forth, and you test each other in different angles. That's probably the best way. But I'm in the gym several days a week as well, kind of mimicking some of the movements that you need on the table. So
Mhm.
there's a combination of both. It's probably once a week on the table with people, and then 3 or 4 days in the gym per week, as far as trying to, like I said, mimicking some of the movements that you would do in a match.
Yeah. And kind of
So
a follow-up to that is
yeah,
how do you balance the gym workouts with arm wrestling kind of table practice?
it's hard. It's really hard to balance it. Some people don't even do table time very much because table time kind of beats you up. It gets your tendons and
Mhm.
ligaments kind of sore, and so it limits you on what you can do in the gym. But for me, for my balance, I mainly leave table time as the most important training aspect of it. And that's, like I said, once a week. So during the week, I will do those specific movements. Um, like I said, 3 or 4 times a week leading up to like a practice, but then I'll leave myself maybe a day or two of kind of rest and recoup. So I'm kind of ready
Mhm.
for the table time. So it's kind of a balance of making sure table time is most important, but then during the week trying to get in, it's mainly recovery, but it's also doing specific movements to get stronger. Um, so it's kind of complicated, but it's everybody that does this at an elite level has their own little way. Like you say, there's many ways to skin a cat. Everyone has their own ways. Some people may do only
Mhm.
table time once a month. Others do it once a week, like me. And so the ones that do it once a month, they're in the gym a little bit more heavy duty, emulating some of the movements because they're getting less table time. So it's just kind of a balance.
Yeah. And then what muscle groups are most important in arm wrestling, and how do you specifically train those muscles?
So, like I said, to get all of the muscles engaged properly, it'd be on the table time. It'd be practicing with other people that are good at it.
Okay.
That gets all the groups, which is the elbow, the forearm, the hand and wrist, a little bit of shoulder and bicep, um, some core stuff. There's some core involved, but on the
Mhm.
table is the best way. It engages everything. In the gym, a lot of it is hammer curling movements. It is some side pressure movements. So side pressure is just kind of, I guess I can give you, it's just loading kind of this way
Yeah.
across your body. It's loading, and that loads the elbow properly. And then it's a lot of like wrist curling, a lot of flexion stuff as far as like with your hand and wrist coming down. Also pronation and supination. So the turning the wrist this way,
Okay.
we train that as well.
Mhm.
So those are kind of the fundamentals. It's kind of the hand and wrist, rise, you call it rise, roll, and then cup, and that's the flexion of the forearm, and then the
Mhm.
backwards, and then the sideways. So there are a few components that you break down specifically in the gym, but then, like I said, the table time is where you have to use it all together, and kind of
Okay.
coordinate it all as one. So
Mhm.
it can get it doesn't seem complicated to someone looking at from the outside in. When you watch someone arm wrestle, you're like, oh, you just grab someone, you push to the side, right? Yes,
Mhm.
that's true, but you can also break it. You can get pretty technical with it too, and strengthen certain vectors that make you much more competitive, makes you much better when you train the very specific vectors. So
Yeah, so kind of along what you're saying is like there's a lot more technique involved compared to just kind of the raw strength that people think.
yes, and there again, that's a combination of technique and strength.
Okay.
Number one is strength,
Mhm.
um, because in theory, a person can be strong enough with zero technique and beat somebody with a ton of technique. Strength always wins, right?
Okay.
If you have enough of it, right? You can overcome deficits in your technique with strength. But that being said, there's a limit to how strong a person can get in these certain movements, right? So at the elite level, a lot of guys are pretty close in those strengths. So then that's when the technique comes in order to uh, get to a spot where you may find someone's weakness. So it's all
Mhm.
depending on what level we're talking about, but strength is always number one, no matter what.
Okay.
But at some point, technique comes into play because strength is limited, right? We're human beings. We don't have infinite strength. We at some point you kind of plateau out, right? So that's kind of the way you have to look at it as far as the strength and technique balance.
Okay. Uh, and then how has your technique or approach changed as you've gained more experience through the years,
How my
if
how's
so?
my how's my technique changed? Um,
Your technique at all?
what was that? It just broke up just a little bit. What?
Yeah, has your technique or approach changed at all through the years?
It has. I've only been doing it about 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
But I have changed and tried different, we call it lanes, kind of lanes
Mhm.
where you go to exploit the other guy. For a long time, it was just kind of just go sideways, flex your wrist down and go sideways. Well, and then as I got a little more into it, I learned that back pressure pulling backwards, using more leverage in your wrist to exploit the other guy. You call it kind of break him open. I
Mhm.
started doing that a little bit more, but I mean, it's real fluid. The change. Whoops, sorry. The change in technique. It happens as you go, and you try different things. I don't have one specific technique that I use. Some people do. I feel like you got to be good everywhere. So
Mhm.
I try to have as many tools in my tool bag as I can. I don't limit myself to kind of one technique. So I would say my technique is always changing, to be honest.
Okay. And then what role do leverage and body positioning play during a match?
Leverage is huge. Leverage is very important. So basically, we have our arms are like levers, right? You have a fulcrum point on your elbow. Your connection point would be up, obviously, at the hand and wrist. So the higher you can get on somebody helps because the higher you are, the more force you're going to generate on their arm. So heights, if you can get your hand worked up to a point where you're what we call over the top of somebody else's hand is very important. Um, the other thing is like shorter versus tall arms. Tall arms, it's hard to generate a lot of force when you're kind of a beginner. But as you get stronger and you get going in the sport a while, a long arm can be very beneficial. If your arm is longer than your opponent's, now you kind of have that mechanical advantage over that shorter arm, as far as getting what we call height on that guy. So if you get height on him, you'll be able to kind of exploit that. Now, the other side of the coin is a short arm. is easier to generate torque because it's shorter. The hand and wrist is closer to the elbow. It's shorter, so you can generate more force because you're closer to your fulcrum point. So it's a lot of physics with it. Um, but a short arm can be beneficial too, like I said, because you can generate more force out of the go, like from getting started in the sport. Where a long arm takes a little bit more time to get all the ligaments and stuff strong in order to be able to use it to your advantage. So I mean, it can get complicated as you want. I mean, there's many angles, I guess, to look at kind of the advantages with that. So
Yeah, perfect. Is injury is a concern in arm wrestling?
Mhm.
And then how do you train to protect your elbow and shoulder?
Yeah, mainly it's kind of the arm break, right? So everybody's watched on the internet. People can break their arms doing arm wrestling. I've seen it a handful of times. It is rare. I'm glad to say it's rare. I mean, thousands of matches will happen, and you won't have an arm break. It's rare, but when those injuries happen, it's blasted on the internet, right? People, unfortunately, people want to see that. That's kind of how we're wired, unfortunately. So it gets a little bit of a bad rap as far as that goes because of that stuff that's being put on the internet, the injuries. But anyway, I think you mentioned how do you prevent him in body positioning? Well, so for a new guy, we always make sure to keep his shoulders square. We don't want him to get into what we call an arm break position. So that would be where your body is turned, you're away from we want to keep people square like this. So if you're letting your hand get outside of your shoulder, things like that, we watch for with new guys because that creates that spinning or the rotational force on that humerus bone, the one that's in between the elbow and the shoulder. That's the most common one that will break. Elbows do come apart as well. Some of the ligaments and stuff in there can get stretched and sprained and what have you. But the most devastating one is that humerus break. And so with that, it's all about positioning. So shoulder square, making sure the guy keeps keeps his shoulder behind his arm and don't let him dip that shoulder below kind of the line from the shoulder to the wrist. So there's ways, and it's with the pros, the elite guys. A lot of guys will get into arm break positions, but their body is kind of protected against that. It's been through so much of that positioning to where the bones, the ligaments and stuff, they're hardened. They're strong. They're ready to take some of that. But a newer guy's frame really isn't set up for that just yet. And so in the amateur divisions, we will watch for that, watch for the arm break position and say, hey, you need to square up, or hey, you need to bring your shoulder this way or that way. So there's a lot of that with the new guys we watch for. But there is other injuries too, tendonitis and tennis elbow and a lot of that stuff. And that just takes time to heal. You know, we do a lot of blood flow workouts and take different supplements to try and offset some of that stuff. But yeah, I think that answered your question. Is that basically what you were
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of going for? Kind of
yeah, of
injury
course. Yeah.
prevention? Yeah,
Mhm. And then how do you mentally prepare for matches that can be decided pretty quickly?
right. Yeah, that's a good point. That because it can go fast. You know, you do have to stay calm a little bit. You want to focus and you want to make sure that you're prepared. Obviously, um, one big thing that guys run into is that adrenaline dump. So if guys get too fired up and too excited before a match or even during, I've seen it happen where the guy gets excited, he's jumping around, he's screaming and hooting and hollering, and that adrenaline spikes. But then what happens then is it comes back down, and when it comes back down is when it's the problem. You kind of you run out of fuel, your strength is down. So I have found that staying calm and being a little bit more focused and quiet kind of before and during keeps you more balanced, keeps your strength, keeps your cognition and everything all pretty stable. As opposed to being the guy that's and we've all seen it on the internet, right? The guy that gets fired up and he's screaming and trying to be the ego guy. A lot of sometimes that can bite you if you get out of control like that because let's say they get excited for their first, if it's a best of five, and the guy beats him the first two, and he's hooting and hollering, he's screaming, he's that adrenaline's up, but the other guy is staying calm. Well, when it comes time for that third and fourth round, I've seen it where the guy that stayed calm ends up winning. So that's, I guess, that's one piece of kind of preparing for a match, is to remember that stuff and remember how the body works, as far as if you get a little bit too pumped up, I guess, for a match.
Mhm. Yeah. And then just a few questions left here. What goes through your mind when you step onto the table on a competition day?
It can vary so much. I mean, sometimes sometimes you want to put yourself in a position where you tell yourself that this person is nothing to you, or that you kind of degrade your opponent in your head, thinking that you're better, that they have no right being here. Or sometimes you'll think like, put this person in a place where they harmed your family member or something. Like, it kind of gets weird sometimes, to get your mind pumped up, to get your mind in a state to where you can dominate. Because you want to be confident, you don't want it to be where you end up you end up having a problem in the setup, or your strength isn't there because your mindset wasn't there. So you do gotta come in ready. You got to put yourself in a position where you feel like you can beat them. You don't want to feel inferior to them. Travis Badgett, he's a world champion arm wrestler, and he talks about 90% of the time when he'd get to the table, the match was already over. The guy already lost, because Travis
Mhm.
displays so much confidence and so much a little bit of ego, to where the other guy's already thrown the towel in, because he just sees such a dominant force coming that it just slips through their fingers before the go, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
there is a lot of that with the mental stuff you got to remember, and don't let it slip past you before the ref even says go. So
Mhm. And then I know you compete professionally, but how important is the Cornhusker State Games for you being from Lincoln?
yeah, it's real important, right? Because I'm from Nebraska, born and raised here. And it's growing in success. It's growing in numbers. I guess each year there's a little bit more people that come out and either watch or compete. So it's very important to have it in your hometown and show up. There really isn't any competition for me. I don't get tested at all when I come do Corners for State games, but that's okay. I guess it more draws out that crowd, and if I show up, it helps bring up the interest. It helps bring up the fans, and if they know that there's a national elite level person that's going to show up to this local event, it helps build everything. Um,
Mhm.
my first couple years doing it was challenging. I had people that would make me work in it, but as I've gotten better, it's to the point I just there's just no competition there for me anymore. But it's still important to show up, meet people, and just kind of try and bring more eyes, I guess, to the sport, is really one of the main goals for us.
Mhm. And then the last question here is, what do you want people to better understand about arm wrestling as a competitive sport?
Um, I want them to understand that it's not slap fighting. I get a lot of
Mhm.
people that ask, "Oh, do you do slap fighting too if you do arm wrestling?" Well, no, I don't do that. That you'll get a concussion, and that's really not a smart sport, right? But for some reason, people coincide those together. I just want people to know it does take a lot of time. It takes a lot of training. There is a huge genetic component for what gifts you were given, as far as your elbow structure, your wrist structure, your overall strength. Um, so there's a big genetic component too, as with any sport, right? Mainly strength sports. So there's that, and so it's just basically, and it's a grassroots deal, right? It's probably one of the earliest tests of strength in human history. I mean, I think I've read or heard that some of the Romans, Roman soldiers, the generals would have some of the guys arm wrestle or something to see
Oh, wow.
who gets to move up in the ranks. And so it's probably the oldest, most grassroots test of
Mhm.
strength, but we've taken it to the level of to where we train for it. We practice and we dedicate ourselves to it, and we've broken down the nuts and bolts of it to know what to train to get better. So yeah, it's not just something you get drunk and do in bars. It can be, right? It's fun. It can be that. But I just want people to understand too that we've taken it to kind of a different level to where it can be something somebody can really dedicate time and have a lot of
Mhm.
fun with and travel around, meet a lot of different people. Um, and I've had a lot of success with it. It's not like going to make you like a millionaire. It's not like a super lucrative deal. We would like to get
Mhm.
it to that point with some of the big organizations that we have. East versus West is one of them. A lot of people have heard of that one, but that one's where they pay a lot of money. Another one, World Series of Arm Wrestling. That's another one that pays quite a bit of money. I went last year and I won several $1,000s at that
Wow.
tournament. So it's getting better as far as the money and the
Mhm.
payouts. It's getting there, and we hope it continues to snowball with that. Um, and we just hope people tune in and realize that some people are really dedicating a lot of time to it and a lot of sweat and tears and stuff like that. So,
Yeah. Well, yeah, that wraps up all the main questions I had for you today.
all righty. Well, appreciate your time.
And yeah, of course. And just a few things before I go. So yeah, I will send that story out to you once it's completed. And I gotta have a like a photo for the main for the story. Would you mind if I could get like a photo of you competing recently at all?
Yeah, I can send one. Um,
Okay, yeah, just maybe. Do you have any photos from like the Cornhusker State games this past year?
I could probably dig one up. Yeah, you want it?
Yeah.
You want it to where it's I'm competing, or you want just kind of a snapshot of like my medals or something, or what do you want?
I'd say most preferably like a competing photo, one that kind of shows off you.
Okay.
But really anything will work. Yeah, if you got something, yeah, I'd
Yep, I
appreciate
should be
that.
able to. I should be able to dig one up of actually being on
Yeah,
the table
perfect.
with gripped up with someone. I can.
Mhm.
I can dig
Yeah,
something up.
yeah.
Yeah. So just
And lastly, here is oh, go ahead.
no, no. Go ahead. I was just gonna. I'll say it in a minute. Go ahead.
Okay. And then lastly here, I was wondering if you kind of have any other contacts for any other competitors, maybe from the Cornhusker State Games or any buddies you know. Just looking for like another source, just from another competitor perspective at
Is-
all.
Would it in arm wrestling, or do you need a different sport?
In arm wrestling, yeah. And I could ask George as well, but just wondering if you have any contacts I could reach out to other competitors
Yeah,
in the
yeah, I
sport.
do. Did you get a hold of George? Did you do an interview?
Uh, yeah, I was gonna do it last night, but he wasn't able to last night, so I'm actually about to do that here pretty soon.
Okay.
So I got him just coming up here. So
Yeah. Why don't we do? Why don't I reach out to his name's Easton McCormick?
Mhm.
He's a young kid. He's kind of
Did
like
he
no.
compete last year?
Yeah, yeah. He won
Okay, I was gonna say I saw his name. I saw his name uh in
the
the
winners,
results from last
the results. Yeah, he's really
year.
good. Young kid, been doing it about the same time as me, about 4 or 5 years, and he's
Yeah.
pretty much number two in the state as far as arm wrestlers
Mhm.
go. He's right behind me, so he would be a good one, and he did win it. Because I since I don't have any competition really anymore, so I started to
Mhm.
just do one arm. So I think I just did left
Okay.
arm, and then let Easton
Yeah.
do right arm. That way he could win the
I see that
title.
he got right. Yeah, first
Yeah,
place there.
and so I didn't
Mhm.
compete right to let him kind of start stepping up. But
Yeah.
I will let him know. Do you want me to like send you his? I should probably ask him first to make sure he wants to.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, if he's okay with it, yeah, just if you could send me his contact info, so that would be perfect.
yeah, I'll ask him, see what he says, and then I'll just send it over to you on Messenger, and I'll send a photo of
Perfect.
me probably as well on Messenger. So
Okay, awesome.
I think that makes the most sense.
Yeah. Well, yeah, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciated kind of getting to know you and interviewing you here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to meet you. What other sports will you be interviewing, or are you just doing this one for your
The
captain?
focus of this story is just arm wrestling,
Okay,
but the other stories are just kind of up to whatever we want to do.
gotcha.
But yeah, this one in particular is kind of around the Cornerstone State Games, and then I'm focusing on arm wrestling for it. So
Is it something where you want to try it out, or come to a practice and see, or is it just something that seemed intriguing to you?
something that seemed intriguing, but I'd love to come and watch it sometime. Are you competing next this upcoming summer in the Cornerstone State Games, or I know you'll probably be there.
Yeah, I'll be there. I'll probably maybe do one arm again, but yeah, you should
Mhm.
come by and check it out. I think it's going to be. It's usually in July. I don't know if
In
they.
July. Yeah, did I see you guys did it at the Big Ten Sports Bar?
Yeah, yeah, that's where it
Okay, good.
was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's something I definitely would be interested in coming out to watch this summer. So yeah,
yeah, do it. It's a good time, and you can kind of see what we're all about a little bit more. You know what I mean?
yeah,
All right. Well, good luck with your schooling and everything. I will
yeah,
send
of course.
Easton stuff over and a pic. Anything
Okay,
else? Anything else you can think of?
that's about it for me.
What you need? Okay. All right, man. You take it easy, and I'll stay in
Yeah,
touch
you of
here
course. Yep,
with
yep.
you.
Thank you very much. Yep,
Oh, and send me the link too when you get everything put together. I'd be curious
yep.
to see your kind
Oh
of
yeah, of
your
course. I'll make sure to get that to you.
some of your your end result.
Yeah,
All right,
of
man.
course. Well, have a good weekend.
Yep, you too. We'll stay in touch. Bye.
Yep. Bye.
Recordings